The Spurs, Thunder, and Kings are all better than the Warriors. And Russell Westbrook is the best player on the Lakers, just like we scripted. Run It Back starts now.
Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back.
Happy Monday morning. We're going to have every single team playing tonight. It's going to be fun. My name is Michelle Beadle. I'm joined, of course, by Stadium Insider, Shams Charania, Chandler Parsons, and co-host of the Etc. podcast, Eddie G, in the house, guys. We have tons to talk about. Shams, I'm going to start right with you because obviously the big story in the NBA for, I guess, 2 weeks now is Kyrie Irving. There's been a list. So where are we on the Irving saga?
So the Nets have delivered a list of 6 items that they want Kyrie Irving to accomplish before he returns to the team. So you start with an apology, basically condemning the film that he tweeted out. They want him to go through on his $500,000 donation to anti-hate. They want him to go through anti-Semitic training. They want him to go through sensitivity training. They want him to accomplish a lot of steps, also meet with Jewish leaders, ADL leaders. And then at the end of all of that, they want him to meet with the owner, Joe Tsai, I'm told. And at that point, demonstrate to Joe Tsai that he is, in their mind, fit and that he demonstrates that he understands what has occurred and makes it clear to them that it won't happen again. And so there's a meeting between Kyrie Irving and Adam Silver this week to discuss potential next steps on this situation. Nike also severed ties with Irving last week. So it's unclear where this goes. Will Kyrie Irving go through and actually follow through on these 6 steps? It remains to be seen on that.
To me, when this list came out, it triggered a different reaction than I had all of last week. And I'm curious what you guys thought. So he got the apology. It came after he'd been suspended officially. But Chandler, this list and what he has to do next, jumping through hoops a little bit here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about the list because if it's me or I think any other player, I'm just going to simply do these things. I love basketball. I want to play the game. I miss my teammates. I'm doing this. Kyrie Irving he's on a different wave right now. And initially when they hit him with the 5-game suspension, I didn't know what to think. I felt like that was just kind of a, give us a grace period of time to kind of figure out what we're going to do with him. Can we trade him? Can we buy him out? Are we going to really cut this, generational talent? And to me, he's just seemed very, very, very unapologetic. I mean, even the Instagram apology, I think what he needs to do is he needs to hold a, state of emergency press conference. He needs to be genuine. He needs to be sincere. He needs to damn near cry, explaining that he didn't even watch the whole movie. He was confused. He was doing this. And actually show that you're a real person, not have someone ghostwrite some Instagram apology for you that just doesn't feel genuine. So I don't know. I still just don't think these 6 requirements, like he's a 10-year-old, is gonna make him change or make him be. And I get it. He's very good. They want him back. They're counting on his talent and Katie's talent to win games and miraculously compete for a championship. So I think it's kind of, Brooklyn covering their ass a little bit and making sure that, you can check these things off. But at the end of the day, Kyrie is Kyrie. And I don't think even once he completes those things, he's going to magically change into this person they want him to be. So I think he'll do it. And I think he'll end up playing again this year. But I think there's still going to be issues there later in the future.
Yeah, there's a really fine line here between, being reprimanded and, like showing face, doing a little bit too much. I think the public reception of this has been like a list, like a 10-year-old. I kind of feel like Chandler, like you would imagine he'll eventually do these things. I think some of these things were also assumed. It's a little different to see it in a Shams Charania tweet listed like that. But, it's interesting. The one thing I'm a little concerned, or maybe not concerned isn't the right word, but a little iffy about is that the very end of it, it appears that Joe Tsai gets to be judge and jury about the sincerity of whatever Kyrie has done and not done. And maybe Kyrie was going to have a different path into his retribution here. Then now it's this firmly laid out set of circumstances for him. It's a very strange situation. And, the team is much like any other job. You can fire, you can suspend, you can anybody who is subordinate. But I'm very curious to see the public reaction to this. And I know that this Nets organization, they pay attention to the chatter. They've been a very reactionary organization over the past few years. So if there's a lot of outcry about this for Kyrie, I'm wondering, do they take a step back? Do they make it a little more vague? Do they keep it a little more in-house next time as they bring them back?
Yeah.
5 games is next week. So there will be a time where they're going to have to confront this in some way, shape, or form. Very curious to see how that goes.
I feel like this list, God, for lack of a better word, it just felt silly to see it numbered out like that. It's sensitivity training, what have you. You know, I have my own opinions on some of these things. I'm not going to sit here and say you can't regulate what a person feels. Now, the CJ McCollum statement that came out, and president of the Players Association, and it said he didn't watch the film. Didn't say maybe he didn't watch the whole film. It said he didn't watch the film. I think was a very interesting sentence. And I think a lot of us had started to assume that I don't think this dude watched this whole thing. And I think maybe somebody told him a nugget or he watched, I don't know. But it's just weird to me that there's going to be like a moral police moment where Joe Tsai is going to decide. And I don't know how you decide if someone's got something out of their heart or not. Good luck with that. But, you know, Chandler, you touched on it. As far as him playing another, I guess specifically another game for the Nets, whether he plays in the league or not is another question. But does he play another game in Brooklyn? What do you guys think about that, Shams? You're nodding your head.
I mean, he's got to follow through on these steps, or he's got to follow through in some way, shape, or form. I mean, clearly there's some element of a kiss the ring moment with Joe Tsai and all this, right? I mean, we saw, you know, some stuff out there about he hadn't spoken to Joe Tsai. We saw now that there's this list where at the end of everything, he has to go meet with Joe Tsai. He has to show Joe Tsai, demonstrate to Joe Tsai, get Joe Tsai's blessing in order to go back to the team. So there's a kiss to the ring element here to this. And knowing Kyrie, seeing kind of the actions that have taken place the last year, I mean, I think there definitely, it's fair to say there is skepticism across the league on whether these steps will be followed through upon or whether he'll be back on the court for the Nets this season. There's no question that that's way up in the air right now.
Yeah, it's fully up to Kyrie Irving. If he wants to swallow his pride and if he wants to, you know, be smart, he will do these things. Because at the end of the day, Kyrie, you know, I've known him for years. He's a hooper. He loves basketball. He loves competing. He loves performing. And I think he's going to miss that. And whether it's another 5 games that's going to take him to get there, I think he will play. And I think he will be back in a Brooklyn Nets uniform. It's funny because I feel like if this was Nick Claxton or Joe Harris, they're gone. They're cut. They're traded. So this just shows you, obviously, that Kyrie Irving is a generational talent. He's a multi-all-star. They want him to figure this out. They need him to figure this out. Without Kyrie Irving, they have no chance to win a championship this year. And I think Kyrie knows that as well. But it's pretty simple. Like we said earlier, these tasks, this is stuff that he needs to do clearly to better himself in the first place. But also, it's not like this strenuous, you know, punishment. Just do your just do it and go hoop, bro. Like what are we doing?
Yeah, I'm with Chandler in that. Like, I think at the end of the day, Kyrie just wants to hoop. It's not some insane. It's just funny seeing the list written out like that. I think the Nets went through this with Kevin over the summer as well, and that, you know, he's told me, I don't think it's breaking news, but he's told me, like, look, end of the day, I wanted to play. Like, I didn't want to miss games. I didn't want to miss camp. I wanted to play basketball. So I was going to figure out a way to play basketball. I think the same as with Kyrie, but you do have to wonder if he's a little miffed with the way this has been carried out in the public realm and the way it has been and the way he's been very publicly reprimanded. And as Shams said, essentially asked to kiss the ring. And we know Kyrie is not of that ilk to just show up and kiss the ring. Now, I'm not saying he's kicking over tires and throwing things around the building, but it would not surprise any of us if he had a little bit of bite back about this situation.
Sure.
So I'm curious to see if he does it. I think there will be some steps. I'll say this in counter to what Chandler said. Yes, if he was a lesser player, he probably would already be gone. The other part of this is if this had remained more private, would he have already been traded because he's talented enough to have hit the open market and be traded? That's what's interesting to me. If the Nets could have gotten rid of him before this was a thing, would they have? I mean, they had to. They should have explored it. They explored it a little bit this summer. You had to imagine they would have this time as well.
And look, and the team's doing okay without him. So it's not like just this list. I mean, I'm telling you, this list made me feel weird inside. It felt very condescending and patronizing and, treating a grown up like a child. And at the end of the day, all he had to do was, if he would have just done this last week, we literally would not have to be talking about this still right now. But he's a stubborn dude. And we're seeing that sort of how that's playing out now. And it's bizarre. Well, keep your eye on that. By the way, I just want to remind everyone, I know it's not a football show, but Brett Favre committed crimes and it's not being covered a fraction of the time that this has been covered by regular news, but that's neither here nor there. But we do get to talk Lakers. You guys excited? I could tell. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 2-7, 14th. We got, we have 10 minutes in is, something. Okay. Behind the scenes, like this is obviously they're probably grateful for all the other drama because it's taking the heat off them for a second. But what's going on behind the scenes in Los Angeles, Shams?
I think there's a real struggle right now as far as rotations and as far as where's the offense coming from, because LeBron James has struggled from 3-point range. Russell Westbrook has really been their best player the last 4 games. Ever since he's come off the bench, he's looked like a totally different player, the way he's moved athletically, the way he shot the ball. So that's been a positive. AD looks hobbled when he's on the floor. So when you factor those 3 in from their quote-unquote big 3, and around them, you saw Darvin Ham yesterday after the game call out basically their entire supporting cast. They haven't gotten the level of production that they want. And that's a major problem for this team. This team went through a couple games where they shot the ball, I think, well outside of the realm of possibility for them. And they've come back down to earth. They're back to what we saw when the season started. Thomas Bryant and Dennis Schroeder are getting close to a return, but this team needs offensive help bad because they don't have it right now. They just don't.
Think about he just said Thomas Bryant is coming back.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna put them right back in it.
Woo, back in it, baby.
They need help. They need help bad.
And you know what's funny? They should be 1-8 because New Orleans absolutely smoked that game. We're missing the 2 free throws and then letting Matt Ryan hit that 3. But listen, I think they did figure out something with Russ. Russ is now at least faking it or embracing that role, and he's playing well. And all this does is just shift the blame now to guys like to AD or to LeBron, or maybe Pelinka's the next to go there. All it's doing is that it's just they're still a bad team. Just because Russ is coming off the bench and playing good, it's still a poorly built team. They still have 0 shooting. Their backcourt got outscored 57-6 yesterday. They're just not a good team. And granted, Cleveland's hooping right now, and they pretty much had no chance before they even got to the arena yesterday. But this is just a bad team. And with Russ going now, I'm happy for Russ, but they're just now going to deflect the negative attention and the blame game on AD being hurt, or they still now back to the shooting, or LeBron's it's just going to go somewhere else. But I'm happy for Russ, but this team is just, they're bad. Like they're really, really bad. And I don't see a move out there that can even put them better than bad.
Yeah, at what point do we question the roster construction? Like, yes,
Yesterday.
AD has not been up to par. Yes, LeBron is looking like he's approaching 40 because he is, and he wasn't just going to be the best player in the league forever, only just 18 years. Sorry. But at some point we have to consider, like, what is this roster? Lonnie Walker has been great in his role, but you're pairing him with Patrick Beverly at all times. And then sometimes you're putting Russ within that mix as well, and you're asking these guys to make threes. Patrick Beverly shoots 22% from 3 this season. He's averaging 4 points a game, and he's still playing over 25 minutes a game. Chandler, you've played with him. He must look like Jordan in practice. I cannot believe he gets on the court for this team. I don't care how much he's yelling and pumping guys up and whatever it is he's doing. He has not looked great on the court, and they continue to play him irregardless. It's very interesting watching this team.
And he's just not what they need. He's not like a Jamal Crawford bucket like that. They need a scoring, shooting, player that can get to the rim, that can make shots. And Pat Bev is great. He brings value, and he can play hard. He can play defense. He's scrappy. He does all those little things that every team needs. Except the Lakers. They really have they need more like Lonnie Walkers. They need more Lonnie Walkers. They need Buddy Hields. They need anybody that can space the floor and knock down shots. And like I said, man, they're just going to continue to blame everyone else, but this is a poorly built team that has no shot at winning.
I'm not going to lie, Chandler. You just described Taylor Horton Tucker, who who Pat Bev was traded for.
They also got rid of they got rid of Caruso, who was like very valuable. They get rid of Horton Tucker. It's like at some point Pelinka's got to go, man. He's not doing the job.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about whether he goes or not. It's all the focus has been on Russ. Trade Russ, trade Russ. Shams, is that still on the table? And are other guys on the table? I mean, is there any reason to think that they shouldn't just blow this whole thing up, including an Anthony Davis?
I mean, if the season goes on and you're in a position where you're so far out of the play-in and playoffs, I mean, you have to look at everything. LeBron James is not trade eligible this season because he signed the extension in the offseason. So he's not going to be in the trade picture. But if you're, staring at 10 and 30, I mean, you have to look at, at different trade options. But I don't think the Lakers are there yet. They want to make the playoffs. They want to be in the play-in. And the play-in does give these teams hope as far as trying to get to that stage. And, they're not going to be that far out of the play-in for the majority of the season. So I think that will continue to be something that the Lakers can focus on. But a Russell Westbrook trade, I don't think there's anything hot there. I think that will probably heat up closer to December, January, just because you have to still see what teams out here really want to sell. Because right now, everyone's still trying to compete for at least a play-in.
Just want to remind you guys, it's Monday, November 7th. And I once again want to reiterate, this Lakers team is not making the playoffs. It's just not happening. I don't see how it's even remotely possible. Would you guys blow it up at all if you could? And would it be Westbrook or would you try something else?
I mean, for me personally, you're not going to get enough for Westbrook, so I'm really going to explore this Anthony Davis trade. And I think you're going to get more there. You're going to get more building blocks. You'll get more young pieces. You'll just simply get more than you'll get for Westbrook. And Westbrook now at that number, I think you just ride out the momentum here. Hopefully something better comes up. But yeah, I think it's got to be AD. He's younger. It's just they're going to know more about his health than anyone else. So. You always got to roll the dice with AD. You got to factor in him missing games. We even talked about this during the preseason that, this is a guy like Ja, like Zion, that you have to factor in him missing games. And now, sure enough, here we are where he's getting injured all the time. But for me, it was funny. I was watching that game yesterday and I can't help but LeBron just seeing like his 5th ring in his hometown. Like, how do I get on that team? Like, I'm like, how do I get there?
Nope. Too late.
But that ain't gonna.
I think Chandler's right. You have to consider the Anthony Davis situation. It's not ideal, obviously, but he'll be 30 in March. He obviously has his history of injuries. There's some complaints about the shape he's in this season. His back continues to linger. And at the end of the day, he's your best chip. He's the best available option you have. What's funny is when they traded him for all of the kids, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and then all those picks, it was like, hey, there's a doomsday scenario where things go really bad and those picks, it's like the Pelicans could win this trade. If they asked the Pelicans for Brandon Ingram right now, straight up, no picks, no nothing, Pelicans are hanging up the phone. We're good. You keep your guy. You got him. You got exactly what you wanted. They probably couldn't get a pick back for him. So yes, you have to explore that, but what even is the Anthony Davis market right now with all the things going on? He has 2 years left on his deal. They're in a tough spot, but that's their best course of action if they want to surround LeBron with something and maximize these 2 years he has coming up as he waits for Bronny.
As he waits for Bronny. That's the weirdest storyline for me of all of it. We're going to stay in the state of California because the Warriors went on the road, 6 games, lost all of them, sitting there at 3-7. Which is, I think everyone assumes they're going to turn it around, Shams, but what is the plan here to get out of this thing?
Well, I think in the immediate future, they're going to change the rotation up. Steve Kerr said yesterday they're going to start to play Jonathan Kuminga more. They want to play their young guys. And so it's kind of a continuing clash of eras, right? You have the old guard in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and a couple of those guys just haven't played up to form. Some of that you can attribute to they haven't been there much for training camp. I mean, when you look at Draymond Green, Klay Thompson didn't play his first game until right before the regular season started. Draymond Green, we know with the punch of Jordan Poole, he was in and out of training camp. So you have guys that are still trying to get their legs. Jordan Poole hasn't played up to that contract extension that he signed quite yet. So they're trying to get players stepping up, playing on both ends of the floor, because defensively, even the other night against Orlando, they gave up 77 points in the second half. The defense is struggling. James Wiseman is struggling. They haven't gotten anything from him this so far this season. So I think they're going to make major rotational changes coming up.
Anyone, Chandler?
Yeah,
is that going to do it?
I mean, yeah, listen, I just think obviously this isn't the start that they imagined or they wanted. I still firmly believe that they're a team that doesn't necessarily care about seeding. They don't really care about regular season. I think they realize that once they're in, they want to obviously not be a bottom seed, but they think they can beat anybody. And they're hoping that playing these guys is going to pay off in the long run. But look, I mean, I think Steph is Steph, and Wiggins has been solid on both ends of the floor, but Shams hit it. Like, Clay hasn't really found his shot. Draymond's always been kind of a liability on offense, and Jordan Poole is just simply not playing up to the standards of that contract he got. So they're not as deep as I thought they'd be, just because those young guys aren't really turning the corner yet. But again, I do think that this is all part of their master plan. I think this valuable minutes they're getting will pay off, in June. And listen, are they worried? Slightly, yes. But I think this is a team that has that championship DNA, that's getting their younger players this burn early on that should pay off, down the line.
Yeah, the Jonathan Weissman thing is an issue. They took him number 2 overall in their true draft steal. It was supposed to boost what they had already built. And yes, they won a title despite him not playing all of last season. Yes, they still have room, and they talk about, bringing him along slowly and organically and all this stuff. But he's just not been a fit for their team. He is not, in many ways, look like an NBA player. And that's a number 2 overall pick, sandwiched between LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards, 1 All-Star and 1 future All-Star. So that's an issue too. They have not defended well outright. They've said it themselves. Clay is getting older. Steph is getting older. That's your point of attack defense. 2 30-plus guards who weren't the most athletic guys to begin with. They do have real issues. Yes, they've won 4 titles in 8 years, so we aren't as concerned. But that 0-6 trip was bad. That Magic's loss was bad. There's a lot to be concerned about here, and luckily for them, they have time to figure it out, but they might want to get going soon. It doesn't sound like a lot to say 9 games. That's 10% of the season. We're almost, the next thing you know, it's Christmas and they're still playing bad. Now we've played a quarter of the season, and then what? So it's time to get going. I just don't think they have an answer right this moment. Dante DiVincenzo will be back at some point. He'll help with the defense, but that's asking a lot. They're waiting for Andre Iguodala now. Like, they're waiting for Andre Iguodala to be healthy and be a defensive force. A guy who people were trying to push into coaching last year. So it's a little dire out there. Not all the way, but a little.
It's
Eddie,
tough
I was not worried.
It's tough when you have a road trip like this, because it wasn't a hard road trip, and the teams they played weren't very good. So it's not like you can say, oh, our schedule's getting lighter coming up. Their schedule's only going to get harder, and this is how they're performing now. So like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like, oh, this is a tough back-to-back. This wasn't, and they still lost the game. So that's also concerning.
And they
wasn't worried until
sitting all their
Eddie
guys.
said, oh, that's true. They did sit everyone. But when you said it's 10% of the season already, that's the first time I went, oh, wait, maybe I should be worried. And I'm not even a Warriors fan, but dang, 10% makes it sound real. Okay. A team that does not need any of our concern, at least not right now, the Cavs, just 8-1. I think it's safe to say surprising quite a few people. Can we list the reasons? Do we want to? How are we going to list the reasons? Eddie, why don't you start this one?
Their size. They're actually running pick and rolls with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, which is insane to watch. They don't run it all day. They don't spam it all day, but they have clear continuity. A lot of people compare Evan to Chris Bosh coming in. He may never have that offensive package, but he's figuring some of it out. And his ability to handle the ball at that size, to work with the big fella, and then they even do high-low. Chandler, you played in this league 10 years ago. People don't run high-low anymore. There are 2 bigs out there. They also do a really good job of setting those guys up off pick and roll. They'll put them on the weak side of the ball, run their pick and roll, and then find them in space and then let them 2 operate. They have a ton to like out there. I didn't even mention Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland and the things they do. Karras, maybe a weak point at the small forward position. They may want to address that at some point, but you're 8-1. You're sitting high. No reason to complain right this second.
Yeah, for me, it's 2 things. Number one, I think, and I talked about this before, JB Bickerstaff to me is the best coach in the NBA, or one of the best coaches in the NBA. This man is so cool and so engaging. I swear to God, it makes a huge difference. It makes guys buy in. It makes guys want to sacrifice. It makes guys want to play hard and play unselfish and do the next thing for the team. And JB instills those values and those morals in you. And not to mention his offensive sets, his at a timeout execution. He's a very, very, very brilliant mind. His dad was a legendary coach. He's been around the league forever, and I'm so hyped to see him thrive with this team. And the next thing, it's Donovan Mitchell. This is a classic case of where the dude just wanted or needed a fresh start, a new team. And the guy's playing like one of the best players in the NBA and an absolute monster. So with that backcourt, they have and the size they have a great combination of youth with vets. Kevin Love is still finding a way to get it done.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have Ricky Rubio, who I'm hearing is getting a lot closer to coming back, who's one of the best backup point guards in the league. So I love this team with some of the Eastern Conference teams like Philly and Miami struggling. There's no reason this team's only going to get better. They're young. They're going to continue to win games. They're going to win a lot of games this year, back-to-backs, load management. That's not a thing with them. So they're going to keep going, and I'm super happy for JB. I'm going to the game tonight. It'll be the second game I've ever been to since I stopped playing.
That's it. That's
Ricky
only
Rubio.
2. Wow. Okay.
I love the Ricky Rubio mention, Chandler. The idea of Donovan and Darius coming off the ball and getting shots on the weak side, thanks to what Ricky Rubio does and the way he distributes the ball, that just unlocks more of their offense that they haven't even been able to get to. Imagine guarding those guys on an island. That's hard enough. Now guarding them on a closeout when you're running like a bat out of hell and they can do whatever they want at the triple threat, they're going to get even better as this season goes on. This is a real serious contender.
I love this. This was the surprise we were looking for. Coming up next, Shams with the scoop. Plus, we have the ankle breaker of the weekend and Luka just doing Luka things. That's all next on Run It Back.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.
I would like to say I'm sorry first and foremost, and secondarily, I would like to say not only would I like my money back, but I would like to not be called a bitch-ass motherfucker to my teammates. So if there is anybody that feels that way about me, not naming any names, they can address me personally, face to face, because no swear words were used in the direction of anybody. Personally, it was like, hey, that wasn't a take foul, or that wasn't a take foul or something like that, but it wasn't anything that was personal. So NBA, I would definitely like my money back, and I would appreciate no fine at all in this monologue. Thank you.
And he said, thank you. Look, Spencer Dinwiddie's not a guy who goes around making drama. So Shams, the latest on that situation is what?
Here's some news for Spencer Dinwiddie and Run It Back. The NBA, I'm told, is reviewing that allegation that Dinwiddie spoke about on Friday night, that Tony Brothers used those profane words toward him during the game when he was talking to a teammate of his. So the NBA is looking into this situation. I'm curious from Chandler's perspective. He played with Tony Brothers as his official for years. Well, is this normal? Like, what do players think about Tony Brothers?
Yeah, you know what's funny is 5 years ago, this isn't a story, and because this is Tony Brothers, no doubt in my mind he said that. Was he being serious? Was he actually calling him that, like in a malicious, argumentative way? No chance in hell. I don't know the exact altercation. I don't know what transpired, but Tony Brothers is personality. He talks shit. He's engaging with the players. I used to tell the dude he looked like the Angry Bird. Like, we would go at it back and forth. Like, I would say he looked like Anthony Davis's dad. Like, we would go at it back and forth. He would say things that nowadays people would be offended by and people would get sensitive over, and that just wasn't the case. It's funny, I sound like the old guy now. But when I was playing, that was okay. That was the banter that Tony Brothers uses to relate to the players. Now, listen, saying BAMFer like that could be taken personally, I guess, but that's the relationship that he's created. That's the sense of humor he has. And nowadays, when you see that and on paper, or this guy called me that, I think it's just viewed differently, where if you actually would see the actual altercation and what he was trying to do. Is it inappropriate? Now that it's come to light, sure. My experiences with him, this was not personal. This was not harmful. This was Tony Brothers being Tony Brothers.
Are you shocked this made it off the court?
Right?
You know what? This is, I mean, clearly Spence is pissed to say this at the podium. It's not over the $2,500 technical foul either. Clearly that comment cut him deeper than most, and it pissed him off. And I think most guys in the NBA that know Tony Brothers, which is all of them, have this sort of relationship with him where I enjoy. I think it's fun. I don't want these stuffy ass refs that are, taking their job so seriously. Tony Brothers is my cup of tea. So that banter wouldn't bother me because I know it's coming from a not a harmful place. But I don't know if maybe this is personal. Maybe Tony Brothers actually has beef with Spence and it's been going on for years. I have no idea. I can only speak of my experience with him, and I think he's hilarious, man.
I can only speak on my experience as a potty mouth. If you're a potty mouth naturally, then these aren't considered insults. It's just part of your vocabulary. It's the vernacular. It's how we speak. So yeah, it's just very funny to me that this has come out and we now know about it. But Shams, it's that time of the day. It's the daily Ben Simmons update. What do you have?
So I'm told he will be playing tonight, making his return. He's missed the last 4 games with knee swelling. So he'll be back in the lineup tonight. Big game for both the Mavericks and the Nets in Dallas tonight. But, the Nets are going to be looking for Ben Simmons, whether he starts, whether he comes off the bench. He needs to bring a level of force. He needs to bring a level of energy. That's something that was missing in his first stint before this knee issue and before he got his knee drained last week. So Ben Simmons is expected to make his return tonight.
That's good news to hear. There was some bad news over the weekend for the hot Phoenix Suns team with Cam Johnson. His injury has the latest is what?
So he will undergo surgery on a torn meniscus this week. Just an unfortunate injury for Cam Johnson. He suffered it the other night, and he turned down a contract extension before the start of the season. So just an unfortunate time to have this injury. I'm told the Suns are bracing for him to miss at least 2 months, could be 3. But guys, they won't really know fully until they go in there and have that surgery. And if he has to have repairment on that torn meniscus, it could be even longer.
That's a bummer. Shams, I know you got work to go do, things to find out. Thank you so much. We shall speak mañana. But you guys, we still have fun videos to watch. I love this part. That man has a family, and we start with just, for me, one of the highlights of the entire sports weekend, not just the NBA. Eddie, you were on this one real quick. You sent this to the text thread right away. This, of course, being Kevin Durant embarrassing a man. Oh.
We got to get some good Nets news in here. I'm excited we have this to laugh about. I have never seen a young man do a burpee on the floor during the game, so that was a little shocking. And Kevin said it was a wet spot, so I'm not going to give Kevin 100% credit. He said it himself. I'll hate a little bit, but in the moment, I definitely jumped up off my couch and yelled some Tony Brothers words.
And usually when you watch a replay like this, usually someone's, tripping over their foot or they get pushed off. Unless he's just being nice saying there's a wet spot. He made this man do the splits.
Yeah, that with no push is crazy. The photos are even worse. Like it's
or better.
I need that on a shirt. Kevin will be back in a couple of days. Yeah. Put that on a shirt.
That is a zero contact, just ankle breaker.
Oh. I actually thought the same thing, Chandler. I thought, oh, that's nice of KD. Give him a little bit of an out. Say it was a slippery spot because I thought the same thing. I'm like, no way, dude. You owned that one.
He's better than me.
So bad.
He's better than me. I'd have posted every angle on IG right after. Woo.
I mean, this is one of the games of the weekend as well. Tatum over Allen. I mean, Tatum had some moments.
This was crazy too, just because time and place. This was to push this thing into overtime.
Yes.
And just bodied probably the best shot blocking big in the league. Just no fear. Just comes across. Oh, yeah, that's filthy.
Love that action from Joe Mazzulla, by the way. But yeah, I think people forget how gigantic Jason Tatum is. He's like a legit 6'10" with long arms. That's like a real dunk. These are the dunks I love. Like, I don't care about a guy taking the charge. Dunk on a dude who's trying to chest-to-chest block you like that. I love this.
And low-key, this could have been an and one game-winning poster if he got.
Oh, it was. He was screaming for the foul.
Yeah.
And there he is again. He's all over the place in this one. I loved this game so much. I thought if this was an Eastern Conference Finals, I'd be okay with that at the end of the season. I'm good with
this Tatum has had some bright spots, but this 6 seconds is on the top of his clip right now.
I hit JT over the weekend. He's averaging 30 on 50, 38, and 90 this season. That is ridiculous. Make a couple more threes, JT. This could be a story.
There you go. Yeah. That's some nice advice. Thank you, Eddie. That was very very helpful. Here you go. Some more good news for the Nets. You're welcome, Watanabe.
Come on.
Yeah.
DeMar didn't know.
He didn't know.
Yeah, DeMar's going opposite hand, doesn't see him. It's not like he's trying to dunk. This one shouldn't even be on the clip.
Yuda's been great off the bench this season. I'll say that. But yeah, not putting this one on a shirt.
Oh, come on. It's something. It's a moment. Bolt.
It's a moment.
I just like saying bolt. Yep. Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, I like this. And I like this for Orlando. Orlando finally feels like they got like a steal. They got this prospect that's, overplaying what they thought they were going to get. And this dude has game, man. Like, he is long. He can handle. He can make shots. He has been, somewhat of a bright spot for a pretty bad year so far.
Yeah, didn't have the greatest start in Denver, but he does have some game, and he's getting an opportunity to show it off out there. Orlando's fun, man. They're a fun team to watch. They're going to lose 67-ish games, but they're fun to watch.
That's all right. Oh, precious. Good. I mean, this feels like it's on a loop. The video game is glitched or something. What is this?
It really does. It's like you're holding down the video game button, and he doesn't know what to do. And his talent just take over. Because Precious is long, Precious is strong. This is great defense. Scotty kind of shows on the pick and roll. There's not physically anything else Precious could do to make this man miss this shot.
I'm so happy you gave Precious his credit. He sat down on 6 crossovers from the MVP, didn't get moved. But Luka is he's just ridiculous. It doesn't matter. He's 6'10" himself. So I'll just throw it up. It's whatever. I do this all day.
I just keep watching it.
He's not even looking at the rim. This is. I don't care who made the shot. They should show that film today, just because that is textbook great defense.
Okay, see, there you go. Everybody wins.
Yeah,
that was very optimistic. I like that. Guys, we got a break here. We're going to talk about Jokic. Is he underrated? Is LeBron still elite? And can Eddie eat an entire rotisserie chicken? Entire? Run it back. We'll be back.
Run it back, yeah. Run it up. Run it back, yeah. Run it up. Run it back.
Well, there you go. You guessed it. We're not done talking about this Celtics squad because these are the numbers. This is what happened on Saturday. 27 threes made, 54% from the field, 53% from three, and 100% from the free throw line. Chandler, what is the biggest difference in this Celtics squad versus last season?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the struggles in the finals last year offensively, but they look like they've addressed that. Tatum and Brown have taken that leap to stardom. Marcus Smart's doing everything. Grant Williams, I love. He's kind of like their more offensive minded, Draymond Green. But let's not forget what got them to finals. They have the best defense in the league, and they aren't on that level quite yet this year. But yeah, it's good to see them making shots. It's great. I love watching them play. Tatum, to me, is, his numbers, he's an MVP candidate. There's nothing he can't do. I love their team. I love what Missoula is doing. I love his odds at plus 700 to win MVP. This team is going in the right direction. I think they're only going to get better once their defense starts dialing in.
I bet they were excited to see the Ime Udoka drama leaving the building because they are churning over there. Every player that played yesterday for them made a three-pointer. They're a well-oiled machine. They know exactly what they're doing. And that's without Danilo Gallinari, who's supposed to be a part of this. That's without Robert Williams, who will help when he gets back. That's implementing Malcolm Brogdon, who's averaging 15 points a game off the bench. They know exactly what they're here to do. There's no hangover for the finals loss. They want to get back. They wanted to win it again. Jason Tatum looks like an MVP, and Jaylen Brown looks like an all-star. Not an alternate like he had been before, but he needs to be in the game. That's a great team over there in Boston.
Man, if you're Ime Udoka, this must suck to watch for a variety of reasons because your life's a mess right now, but it's got to suck to watch your team doing so well. Philly, there's another team in the East that had a lot of expectations going into the season. Of course, Harden now out for at least a month with the right foot strain. They're 4-6. So I ask you guys, as far as how this will impact the Sixers, other than the obvious, what's the long term here, Chandler?
I mean, I'm not too worried. I think James Harden really needs to take ownership and stay in shape for, however long he's out, this month or 6 weeks, whatever it is. He needs to stay in shape. But I think this provides opportunity to guys like Tobias Harris, who now can jump into that third scoring role. And honestly, the way Tyrese Maxey is playing, it doesn't concern me too much because that kid is ready. That kid is proven he is ready to be that, honestly, number one scorer, at least number two scorer with the big guy. And I think he's ready for whatever challenge is thrown at him, and he's proved that over and over again. So I think James obviously needs to get back as quick as possible, but this provides opportunity for these other guys to step up and kind of hold down the fort while he's out.
Yeah, as Joel gets back here and gets healthy, and Tyrese Maxey continues to grow in his potential, they should be fine for this month. When you think about the trade going back to last season, all they really gave up was Seth Curry. They weren't playing Ben Simmons when they got rid of him. So they're situated to sustain a decent run during this. And look, they're a team that's made for the playoffs. They want to get to the playoffs and see what happens there. The problem is the two best teams in the East are a good level above them. And they gotta deal with that.
It's daunting. It's the cloud. Guys, it's convince me time. Eddie? I feel like it's hit or miss with you on these. Good or bad. Convince me that Giannis has a weakness.
Oh, this is easy. Yo, shout out producer Jason because he's looking out for me now after the candy corn thing. But look, Giannis is not a great shooter. We know that. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. You can't stop him from going to the rim. It doesn't matter. And now he's to the point where he shoots just well enough that you can't guard him like Ben or Draymond or whomever else and just sit in the paint. Plus, if you give him that much runway, it almost works for him that I get to just run right into your chest from 20 feet away and dunk on you. So, yeah, he does have a weakness, but he's still Giannis. He's probably still the best player in the league. He's dominant.
Yeah, his weakness is laughable, I think, in comparison to others. Chandler, convince me that LeBron is no longer an elite player.
I mean, listen, LeBron, this is tough, but the only argument here would be that elite players don't let their team start off 2-7. This is a guy that once at 23 years old took Daniel Gibson and Sasa Pavlovic to the finals, and he no longer can do that. Clearly, he can't take Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis to the playoffs, let alone the finals. So I think his 3-point percentage has never been great, but it's extremely low right now. He's shooting 68% from the free throw line, but LeBron has always been good enough to get his team to the playoffs and be a 50-win team, and it's just not looking like it is this year. So that would be the only argument I have for him, but it's tough because he's still very much elite.
Yeah, still LeBron. Eddie, this is coming out of Philly because that's where all great eating stories have their origins, but convince me that you could eat one rotisserie chicken every day for 40 straight, which is exactly what a dude in Philadelphia did. Go.
Yo, what is going on in Philadelphia? The Phillies player wife is buying hundreds of beers for Phillies fans at a game. But I could do this. Like if I could spread it out throughout the day. I count my calories. I count my macros. I love grilled chicken. I can make that work. I'll spread out. Get some rice. Get some quinoa. That's easy. I'm thinking in one sitting. Like one sitting is a little much, but breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I love chicken. This works.
I mean, they're not big. Yeah, I like rotisserie chicken, but I might get bored of it. 40 days is a long time. Taking a quick break because tonight, every single NBA team will be in action. It's a full night. We're going to break down every single game. Why not? When Run It Back returns.
Run it up, run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, yeah.
I mean, look at this. That's just a long night of basketball, and I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing. Every team playing, all of them in action. That means 15 games with a new game, as you see, starting every 15 minutes. So there are bets all over the place. It's the race to 15, first basket scorer. There's all kinds of ways to get rich on the cash money tonight. Usually we do the on-the-fly parlay, which we're nailing that, right, guys? We're really good at it. But in honor of the Sweet 15 that you just saw, we're going to do a race to 15 parlay. It's super simple. I'm going to give you the games. You got to tell me which team gets to 15 first, all the way down the schedule. And we're going to start with Wizards, Hornets. Eddie, which team gets to 15 first?
I got Wizards. They got real gunners over there. I'm believing in them.
Okay, that was easy. Chandler, Rockets, Magic.
Oh, Magic, but it might be in the second quarter by the time these teams get there.
It doesn't matter as long as they get to 15. How about Thunder and Pistons, Eddie?
Give me the team that actually tries to win games, Pistons.
Wow, that was a little shade for no reason. Chandler, Pelicans, Pacers.
Pelicans for sure.
Yeah.
A lot more talent than Pacers.
That would be the one that screws up the whole thing, just because. Suns, Sixers, Eddie.
Give me D-Book. He's going to get him up. Come on, D-Book.
He might do it alone by himself. Bucks, Hawks. That could be a fun one, Chandler.
I'm going with the Hawks, home team. I think they'll get off to a hot start, and I think this is what needs to happen tonight.
I like that. Portland, Miami.
Look, we know Miami is tough with scoring, and if Tyler Hero isn't scorching, so give me Portland. Give me a good 10 from Anthony Simons too.
Portland. Okay. Toronto and Chicago, Chandler.
I gotta go with Toronto. I love their team. I'm hoping Gary Trent just bangs a couple threes early and gets him out to a hot start.
This, I think, might be the game of the night. I'm not sure. The one probably I'm most excited about is Celtics Grizzlies, Eddie.
Look, you guys had to give me the hard one. I can't wait for this game, by the way. This is my dark horse finals. Like in the real world, the perfect world, we get this. I'm going Grizzlies though, because Desmond Bane has been on fire, by the way. Like, go look at his numbers. He's been nuts for about 2 weeks. So he's probably thanked the Nets. They got him started, I guess.
Oh, that's fair. That is fair. Chandler, I'm going to give you New York and the Timberwolves.
I'll go with Minnesota here. Again, I like the home team. I like the home crowd advantage. I like for them to get off. Anthony Edwards is going to go bonkers early.
This is crazy how many games there are. I'll be at this one working. Nuggets here in San Antonio to play the Spurs, Eddie. What do you think? Careful.
As much as I can see Pop just ruining this parlay just out of sheer stubbornness.
Fair.
I'm going with the Nuggets and the MVP. Let's do right, guys. Come on now.
I mean, if that's the leg that ruins the whole, that's only leg 11, by the way. We still have 4 more legs to do in this thing. The Nets and the Mavericks, Chandler. This one's
I got to go with Luka and the Mavs, and plus you said Ben Simmons is playing tonight, and that can't be good offensively for the Nets. Give me Dallas minus one.
They get a player back, and that's a bad thing. That's never a good sign. And we're going to the West Coast. This will be by the way, are you guys going to watch every single game? Because you can. Like, it's going to be. I mean, we'll get to it. All right, Kings Warriors, Eddie. They got to snap out of it.
I gotta go Warriors. Like, this is the Kings. They've been beating up on the Kings for some time now. So I'm gonna go Warriors. They gotta snap out of it. They gotta have to. Like, come on.
This one I love. Lakers, Jazz, Chandler.
Yeah, I gotta go Utah here. Utah, I think, has one of the best home crowds. Those guys can all shoot the 3 ball very well.
What a world.
The Lakers can't. I like
what
Utah.
A world. I mean, things have changed. And then the Cavs, Clippers, Eddie. Of course, this one could be fun.
Yeah, it could be fun, or the Clippers could rest 10 guys again. I'm going the Cavs. I know they just played last night, but those guys got young legs. They're excited. Playing back-to-back in LA is a little different because, you get done, you get to the club by 11, you get to have a good night. You got to leave at 2. They're fine. I'm going to go with the Cavs.
And you get a nap. Don't forget the nap. $20 if you bet on this 15-leg parlay. You could actually win over $5,200. All right, this is the one I think. This one's so hard, guys. But I swear, I almost wish we could do a side bet on which of the legs is going to be the thing that screws up the entire bet. Because
I love this idea of a bet, though. This is hilarious. Like the race to 15.
Race to 15. I didn't even. I have so much to learn, and I love everything about it. I'm going to try to watch 4 of those games while working the Spurs game. Guys, enjoy this crazy, unprecedented night of basketball. Tomorrow we will have lots to talk about. It will be enjoyable. And also, everyone has to go vote. That's it for us. We'll see you guys tomorrow.